Today we're gonna learn Siman, the second sif of the Siman that we already began, Siman Tuf Reish Pei Vav, which is the first Siman in Hilchos Purim. And this is really the heart, the meat and potatoes of the fast of Esther, Tainus Esther. The Shulchan Aruch in Sif Beis says Mis'anin b'Yud Gimel ba'Adar. We fast on the 13th of Adar. Why? The Mishnah Berurah down here says, Ki b'yimei Mordechai be'Ester nikalu b'yoyim shloisha asar v'adar lihilochim v'la'amoid al nafsham. In the time of Mordechai and Esther, they all gathered together on the 13th of Adar to wage war and to stand up for their lives. It's a physical battle. V'hayusrichim lavakesh rachimim v'tachanunim shi'azrim Hashem li'nokim oiveim. They needed to request mercy, say supplications, prayers of sorts, that Hashem should help them to avenge against their enemies, to wage war. Excuse me. Umatzino, and we find when they were fighting with the war, they were actually fasting. Shechem Amru, Rabbi Nozenu Zachron Levachel, because the rabbis teach us in the Mechilta and Parshas B'Shalach. Shemoshe Rabbeinu Olav Shalom B'Yom Shel Enochim Elamalek Hayim Esana. That Moshe Rabbeinu himself, when he was waging war, when they were waging war with Amalek, he would fast. If that's so, then certainly also during the days of Mordechai, they would fast on that day. And therefore, Nahagu Kol Yisrael Le'esanos B'Shel Shasar Ba'Adar. Therefore, the custom developed for all Jews to fast on the 13th of Adar, aka the day before Purim. V'nikra Tainus Esther. Why is it called Tainus Esther? Many reasons. Why is the Megillah called Megillas Esther as opposed to Megillas Mordechai? Many reasons. Mishnah Berurah explains, "Kedei lizkor she'Hashem yizbarach roya v'shomea kol ish beisar also." It's in order to remember that Hashem sees and hears every single person at the time of his distress. Kasher yis'ona v'yashuv el Hashem b'chol levavo, when person fasts and repents to Hashem wholeheartedly, like was done during that time. Is an interesting phenomenon and halacha. Let's say, says the Shulchan Aruch, v'im chal Purim be'echad b'Shabbos. Let's say Purim falls out on Sunday, so you can't fast now on Shabbos. So what you do is makdimin lehisanois b'yoyim chamishi. We begin the fast on Thursday. Now, other times we do fast on Shabbos. For example, if Yom Kippur falls out on Shabbos, you fast on Shabbos. But other than that, you never fast on Shabbos. So what you do is you fast on Thursday. Why not Friday? Sometimes we fast on Friday, Erev Shabbos. So if we look over here, Mishnah Berurah explains, L'hisanois b'yom chamishi, aval be'erev Shabbos ein koivin tainus b'tchila. But on Erev Shabbos, Friday, we don't establish the fast there. Mimnei kavod Shabbos, in honor of Shabbos. Because when we fast, we know davening Shachris is much longer. Also Mincha. We have all the slichos that we do. We have the laning. It takes time. On Erev Shabbos, you can't do this because you're not able to burden yourself with the preparations of honoring Shabbos. There's a very interesting reason that the Oz V'Hadar Mishnah Berurah quotes on this line. They quote the Lavosh, which ties into what we learned together around 5 months ago when we learned Siman Reish Nun. Lavosh kosav b'oifen acher. Shim hayu srichim lesanos be'erev Shabbos lo yuchlu lahachin bo sarchi Shabbos mishum sheyevchar litamat hashilin shemachin l'Shabbos. If we would be fasting on Erev Shabbos, we wouldn't be able to taste the food that we're cooking for Shabbos and fulfill the mitzvah of To'amel Chaim Zachu. Remember, we learned there's a mitzvah to taste a little bit from the food that you cook for Shabbos to make sure that it's made properly. We wouldn't be able to do that if it was a fast day. Now, obviously, the question on this lavush is, so then how come other times, if on other fasts, it could fall out on Erev Shabbos, what are you going to do with that reason? Obviously, the answer to that would be that this fast is the most lenient. Tainus Esther is a very lenient fast. Mishnah Berurah continues over here and says, "Umisha haya b'derech v'shachol shemesana b'yom chamishi v'achol." Fascinating halacha. Let's say someone was traveling on the way and he forgot. He forgot that Purim falls out on Sunday, and therefore the fast is supposed to be the Thursday beforehand. So what did he do? He ate. He was traveling. He didn't realize he ate, and then he realized, oh my goodness, I just ate. So now at night he's going to come to his house. And then he heard that everyone's fasting. It's fast day. Dishonor lemachar be'erev Shabbos. He has to fast the next day on Erev Shabbos. So this is actually an interesting riddle. You could ask anyone who you want to stump for no reason, other than just to get some excitement of stumping someone.
Mhm.
When is it that your person should purposely fast Tainus Ester on Erev Shabbos? The answer is in this case, when
When should
Purim falls out on Sunday, everyone fasts on Thursday, but this fella messed up and accidentally ate on Thursday. In that case, then he fasts on Friday, Erev Shabbos.
purposely fast on Erev
Yeah,
Shabbos?
he has to purposely fast then. That's right, because he messed up and ate on Thursday. Great riddle, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at this next line. These are great for most people nowadays. When the Yetzer Hara gets the best of them and gets them not to learn Torah. Maharil or Haya Magid halachas Tainis Esther. The Maharil, he wouldn't teach halacha on the fast of Esther. Tainis Esther. Why? Mipnei shetarudim liknoi sarchi Purim. Because people are preoccupied and burdened with buying the necessities of Purim. Food and the like, everything that you need nowadays would be extended to Purim paraphernalia, getting those costumes ready, maybe Purim tablecloth, etc. Imlo, unless Purim would fall out on Sunday, in which case certainly uh, the Maharil will continue with the halachas because there would be time. So um, Tainus Esther would be already Thursday, so then this reason wouldn't apply. But regarding this Maharil, the Eli Rabba comments and writes, Venirali the kol zeh ma'iri leilach yeshiva. All this is talking about if you're going to the yeshiva. What happens when you go to the yeshiva? A person, halavai nowadays, as if, but a person could get lost, stay there hours. He's so absorbed in the topics that he's learning. Haval l'limud kavua, bebeis hamidrash ein b'klal zeh. A learning, a set learning that a person's doing in the base medrash, it's not included in this. In other words, you got a set time every single day. You learn from 9:15 in the morning to 9:55. Of course, you keep it going. No Shiloh over there, because that's a set time. You won't get preoccupied. You know, at 9:55, people already are moving, saying, "I got to get out of here." So therefore, you don't need to worry about. Okay, we're gonna get preoccupied with that over here. The ain bazeh kol kach bittul sarchitzu. That's not considered nullifying the needs of the festive meal on Purim, so to say. If anyone could explain this line to me, then I'll be very proud, because this is a very cryptic line. Ve'ein oimrim sidkoscha be'oisa shabbat shechal purim l'macher. Oh, never mind. I take it back. This is not a cryptic line. In the other versions, wow. So they changed this in the version. But if you look at, this is the version that I have in my Mishnah Berurah. I just want to show you something very historically interesting over here. In this line in the Mishnah Berurah, it says, and I quote, "Ve'ein oimrim." Oh no, sorry, never mind, never mind. Okay, we still have the question. Never mind. Disregard the last 30 seconds. Ve'ein oimrim sidkoscha ba'oisa Shabbos. You don't say sidkoscha on that Shabbos. Shechal Purim l'macher. When Purim falls out the next day, when Purim falls out on Sunday, you don't say sidkoscha. Okay? Kemo she'in oimrim tachanunim be'erev Purim b'chol. Just like you don't say tachanunim on Erev Purim during the week. Kach, so too, ein oimrim sidek adin b'Shabbos shu ever perm. What does that line mean? So too, you don't say sidek adin on Shabbos, which is ever perm. Sidek adin? What is it talking about? Who says, who says sidek adin on Shabbos? Sidek adin is said at a cemetery. You don't go to a cemetery on Shabbos. What is the simple explanation? Here's another good riddle. What is the simple explanation of this Mishnah Berurah, who says that you don't say Siddur Hadin on Shabbos when Purim falls out the next day? How does that make any sense? We don't do Siddur Hadin on Shabbos.
Hmm.
Comes along one of my all-time favorites, farm, the Ozva Hada Mishnah Berurah, to save the day and explain the simple explanation of this Mishnah Berurah that so many people who don't use the Ozva Hada Mishnah Berurah don't understand the proper explanation. Sagt ihr, Siddur Hadin? Siddur Hadin doesn't mean Siddur Hadin. Kavanoso illicit kosko sedek. Shu Siddur Hadin. When the Mishnah Berurah over here says, you don't say Siddur Hadin, it doesn't mean Siddur Hadin. It means Sid kosko sedek. Which, obviously, the question begs to be asked, if the Mishnah Berurah meant to say Sid kosko sedek, then why did he say Siddur Hadin? So if you look at the Oz Vahadim Mishnah Berurah and the continuation, they say, you know who died on Shabbos? Moshe and David. And therefore, that's why we say Siddiq Hadin, aka Sidkas Sedek at Mincha. There's a reason to say Sidkas Sedek. And why maybe it's called Siddiq Hadin? Because over here we're talking about the wicked people. What happens? As we learned in Simon Reish Hadi Beis, they're going back to Gehenna after Shabbos. They got a little Shabbos rest. But now they're going back. So therefore, we want to get them ready for that. aka Siddiq Hadin / Sidkas Sedek. Any questions or comments on anything that we learned thus far?
What was that last part about the Rishayim?
Yeah, they go back.
Yeah, that we learned.
Yeah, we
The
learned that.
time- I
Yeah,
mean, if you dive in early mincha, according to that reason, you shouldn't be saying it.
yeah, okay. When we learn Hilchas Mincha, we're gonna go into the early Mincha later. Yep, yep. Obviously,
And he's right, and this whole thing about the Tachanunim is talking about Erev Purim, is talking about only mincha time.
yeah. Correct.
I think it's because still, right, by Tinus Esther comes out of Erev Purim, you're saying all that stuff, Avinu
Correct.
Malkeinu and Tachlin, all.
Correct. It's referring to Tachnun, correct.
Wait, when do we say Vino Makina? No, when do we say Vino Makina?
Tinus Esther.
Oh, yeah, yeah, intense, yeah.
Shabbos.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But not, but no, but not when it fall, not Mincha, no.
Yeah, I don't think mincha, no.
I'm gonna look right now in the sitter, say something. It's
Hmm.
interesting that they don't talk about Avinu Malkeinu over here.
Wait,
Doesn't mention it.
what day is it this year? It's Tuesday? Right, Tuesday?
Yeah. It says over here in the sitter, Avinu Malkeinu, it says you don't say it Tainus Eser Shalo Huktama. What that means is if it's Tainus Esther, you don't say it unless it falls out Tainus Esther on Thursday, aka Purim falls out on Sunday. I think that's what that means, right? Tainus Esther Shalo Huktama. Tainus Esther that wasn't made earlier.
Right. And it sounds like it's not pushed to
Yeah. So it
Thursday. Yeah.
sounds like if it's Purim falls out on Sunday and then you're gonna do the Tainus Esther on Thursday, then Yitaka would say Avinu Malkeinu. Like it's tricky.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
You know what
There's
this year
no.
is? When does Purim fall out? Does anyone know? I could pull
I
it
think
up.
David said Tuesday. I could pull
No,
it
it
up.
says
Falls out
Monday night.
Monday night. Okay, so that means no Avinu Malkeinu. So if you get to a minyan and you see the Chaz go Avinu Malkeinu, oh no Avinu Malkeinu, no. So now you could let it
I
rip.
think most people know when not to say it, not when to say it.
Here.
But
Okay. This is the mother of all leniencies over here. This is the type of halacha that people like learning because it's when they don't need to fast. The Rama pipes in. Taina zayin a choiva. This fast is an obligation. All right, see you later. Or not. Okay, so this fast is not obligatory. L'chein yesh lahakel bo leis hasayich. And therefore, one could be lenient in a pressing situation. Could go on, for example, miuberes or minekes or l'choila shem v'sakana. If a woman is pregnant, if she's nursing, or if someone is sick but not dangerously sick. So those people don't need to fast. Va'afilu rakoya ve'anayim. Even someone who just has an eye ache
Right.
doesn't need to fast. What's the shaychus with the eyes and fasting? What does that have to do with fasting? Your eyes are she'im mitztarin harbe. If you have a lot of pain, lo yisana. You can't fast v'yifru achakach, and you make it up afterwards. Obviously, this Ramah requires explanation. Can I ask you 5 questions on this Ramah? First of all, what's that va'afilu? Even if someone's eyes hurt. What's the even over here?
It's a lesser sickness.
Even if, right, so it's a lesser sickness. She'im mitzarin harbe. Who's in a lot of pain? Who's this talking about?
Yeah,
The,
he's fast.
What?
the Jews in general.
In general? Meaning everyone needs to be a lot of pain. So you're saying if a woman who's pregnant and nursing isn't in a lot of pain, then they don't need to fast? Is this statement going on everyone or just some?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then it says, all right, they're off the hook. Lo yasanu. Oh, v'yivrachakach. Yeah, you don't fast that day, but you need to fast another day. Who's that going on? That's going on everyone? What do you mean? She's still pregnant. She's going to fast now, 5 months later? She's still nursing. What's going on over here? Right? Then it says, so we have to figure out what exactly that's referring to. Aval shar briyim yifreshu min hatzibur. But other healthy people, they are not allowed to separate from the congregation. They must fast. Right. So we see over here an idea of this fast not being obligatory. Therefore, one could be lenient. However, we also see this idea of if you're healthy, you have to fast. Why? Because of al tifresh min hatzibur. You can't separate from something that everyone else is doing. So that's an incredibly insightful point over here. We're gonna see it's almost gonna be like a loitus going to do situation that we're gonna have over here. Mishnah Berurah comes in. Well, actually, before the Mishnah Berurah. Yeah, let's see the Mishnah Berurah. Berurah comes in. Mistarin, if you're in a lot of pain, you don't need to fast. Zekai al koi avi inaim. This is only going on someone whose eyes hurt. Someone whose eyes hurt, if they're in a lot of pain, then they don't need to fast. Aval muberes. It's interesting that the Mishnah Berurah over here just says, but the pregnant woman, he doesn't say the minekes, the nursing woman. Av she'enu mitztares enu misana. even though she's not in pain. She doesn't need to fast. So we see the difference that the guy whose eyes hurt, man or woman whose eyes hurt, they don't need to fast. That's only if they're in pain. But the muberis and the minekis, pregnant nursing, it seems like also you should add in. I don't know why the Mishnah Berurah didn't see minekis nursing. Even though they're not in pain, they don't need to fast. King Kosovo Yeshua Yaakov. That's according to the Yeshua Yaakov. Which, by the way, is a beautiful set. You don't see it often. It's a 4-volume set. This is the Yeshua Yaakov.
Ooh.
His incredible lumdus. Quoted it a few times.
All right, hold on. I can't see. Hold on.
Don't worry, you don't need to see.
No.
You need to see
Let me see
again.
again. Wow.
Wow, you got wiser just by looking at what the page looks like. So that's what the Yeshua Yaakov says. State. The Eliyah Rabba over here is stringent. Stringent in which way? Saying that even these pregnant women need to be in pain. Ach bioledes klo shloishim hu mekel. Kam hu mekel. But someone who just gave birth for 30 days, he's lenient. That she wouldn't need to fast.
What am I saying?
Which 30 days is this talking about? What'd you say?
Yeah, go.
The baby's sleeping. You're not keeping.
Here we go.
What'd you say?
Text you what's up here.
He's not talking to us.
Not talking to us? What does
I'm
it
sorry, I
mean?
didn't realize I wasn't on mute.
Yeah, I'm not on mute either. What does this mean? You led this. Someone who just gave birth 30 days, he's lenient. Which 30 days are we talking about? How do you learn shot here? Which 30 days? After she gives birth?
I think after, yes.
After she gives birth, 30 days. Is that how you learn it? You have Shmuel over there? How'd you learn this?
I learned it as, I guess, within the 30 days. She has
After she
that's
gives
in the
birth, no?
past. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Otherwise she'd be a mubaras.
Yeah, look at this Osvahad. This goes, I'm a guy whose eyes hurt. Meaning, specifically, if you're in a lot of pain, you could be lenient just like a sick person. But if you're not in a lot of pain, your eye just hurts a little. You accidentally walked into a wall. Or, more commonly, you walked into a playground. The thing was a slide, you hurt your eye.
Hey. True story.
Now, if you're in a lot of pain, you don't need to fast. A little, you do. However, the mu'ber is she's pregnant, even though she's not in pain, she doesn't need to fast. That's what the Yeshua Yaakov said. Since this fast isn't explicitly in the Gemara, even in the Gemara, it's not there. Rather, it's a minog. It's a custom. Therefore, someone who's pregnant does not need to fast. But the Eli Rabbah is stringent. He obligates someone who's pregnant to fast unless she's very weak. Sha'ar Tzion says that this depends on the custom of the place. Nira detalu lefi minhag hamakom, as is highlighted down there. Depends on the custom of the place. Eli Rabbah, but the Oledis. What does this mean to you? Ad shloishim yoim lalida. How do you translate those 4 words?
Until the 30th day of her birth.
Yeah.
So we got Reb Shah.
And it's not gonna be 30 days up until the birth because we don't know when the baby's gonna be born.
Correct. I think that's the shot. What we learned. So then he's also lenient. That the yoledes, someone who gives birth, is permissible to eat even on Tisha B'Av from the letter of the law. Obviously, we're gonna have to learn about that more in Siman Tov Kof Nun Dalid, and therefore she certainly has the status of a Chol L'Shem Moso Kana, someone who has a non-terminal sickness. Mishnah Berurah continues, commenting on the Surma. They don't need to fast, but they need to fast another day. Yefru achakach. Sounds kind of counterintuitive. Who is that going on? They need to fast again.
David.
Yeshua's Yaakov Hanizkar Del. Mistaber deloy kaidavar zarak al koyavin. According to the Yeshua's Yaakov that we just quoted before, this statement that they need to make up the fast that they missed is only referring to someone who had the eye issue. His
I
eyes
ache.
were hurting him. Because the actuality is that he has a full-fledged obligation not to separate himself from the congregation, and thus he would need to fast. But only right now, because his eyes hurt, therefore he doesn't need to fast. Ulahachi, and that's why Labasar Shiyasula Kevo, after his pain gets removed from him, and his eyes no longer hurt, Yifru Hatainis. He must make it up. Mashen King Muberis, you see now the Mishnah Brewer groups them. Mashen King, conversely, the Muberis, the Menika, the Baturas Bets, Mafilena Masadas. Conversely, unlike the uh, pregnant woman and the woman who's nursing, who is exempt from the letter of the law, even if she's not in pain. Therefore, they would not need to make up the fast, and they would not need to fast again. But says the Mishnah Berurah, from the words of the Bach, seemingly it doesn't imply this way. In other words, the Mishnah Berurah learns the Bach, tremendous stringency, that someone who is pregnant and nursing would actually need to make up the fast and fast again later. But the general halacha seems not to be that way. That's a tremendous stringency coming out of this Mishnah Berurah. Look at the Hos Vahada over here. Because of the situation of his body, he's obligated to fast. Just because he feels a pain and a difficulty. So therefore, he's allowed to eat. Feels a pain. And that's why once it gets removed, he would need to make it back, make up the fast, because really he's obligated. Unlike the Muberes and Menika, pregnant and nursing lady, in the letter of the law, they're not obligated in this fast, so then why on earth would they need to make up the fast? Okay, they wouldn't.
No, it's not. I guess it's a little bit no gay, but it's very funny that there's no in the. I don't think in the Torah there's any way to determine someone's threshold of pain. Is there any way to say that? Like how
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
The discomfort. It definitely is.
No, but it mentions anything about like is there any way
Yes.
to how there is places
Yeah,
where it
it's more
determines
difficult.
like how to determine how
Yeah,
what your threshold of pain is
yeah,
compared to other people?
yeah. But from the back, it's not applied that way. Even if she's pregnant or nursing, she would, in fact, need to pay it back. She would need to make it up. Tremendous stringency. The Ramah continues and says, "V'im chal Purim b'yom Rishon." Let's say Purim falls out on Sunday. Shemis'anin b'yom Chamishi shalafanav, as we learned before, where you fast on Thursday. V'chal bo bris mila, but now you have a bris. Mutter le'echol ala mila. You're allowed to eat at the bris on Thursday. Ulamachar b'yom shishi yisanu ha'oichlim. And then the people who ate at the bris on Thursday would fast on Friday, Erev Shabbos, the next day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, big chiddush, right?
You
Yeah.
don't see that in Tisha B'av, do you? That not
I
Tisha
don't think
B'av,
so.
like any other Tainus.
I don't think so. This is a super duper lenient fast. We'll have to learn.
What?
Then we get there.
Hmm.
What?
I mean, I don't, like if it's a sorbet, I guess they fit they eat afterwards.
Yeah, we'll have to
A
learn.
Servatavis can fall out on Erev Shabbos.
Modern
Yeah,
expert
that
in the fast. We never learned it together. When we learn those, we'll get to the bottom line. But this is a halacha by Tainus Ester. By the way, the Mishnah Brew and Vav says, "Lo yifreshu afilu aholich b'derech v'kasha lavatainis." even someone who is traveling and it's very difficult to fast. So he still has to fast. Mutlechal amili, you could eat at the bris. Hainu kol anoshim makruim l'suda. Anyone who's invited to come to the bris. Vafilu yoyzim misar. Even if you have more than 10 people. Vafilu b'shachas mitar melech. Even in the morning they could eat. Achein kulam srichim lasanos lamachar kulakayim. But they all need to fast the next day.
Just talking about Thursday? Going
No,
into Friday?
The bris is Thursday. They need to
Right,
fast
so we're talking about
Friday.
the next day, Friday, you can.
Yeah.
What happens if
By the
so
way,
what
this
you
long
can't-
Sharet Sion goes, don't compare this to Tisha B'Av, which gets pushed off. He goes into Tisha B'Av a little bit over here.
Yeah, I remember something about them being allowed to. All right.
Yeah. The Other Mishnah Berurah says, even though this fast isn't from the Torah, it's not from the rabbis, it's a custom, it's prohibited for a person to separate from the congregation because of loy to skoy to do. You're not allowed to separate. Comes
Funny, it's like
along
Los to do and nobody could see it.
that's a whole discussion of itself. Would it still apply? The Mishnah Berurah continues and says, "Va'ayim betazvel lirabba shechulkin al haga." Look at the Taz and the Rabbi who argue on the Summah. B'daisim and they hold the kiviusa the dainisa who dav kol yom chamishi. No, the set time for this fast is specifically on Thursday of Alkain. Asurim kulam la'echol b'yom chamishi v'yasus hu debalayil.
Here you go.
Therefore, it's prohibited for all of them to eat on Thursday, and they have to have the meal for the bris at night. One of my chavrusas, I went to his son's bris after Yom Kippur. The bris was on Yom Kippur. The Suda was after Yom Kippur. However, the Bali Bris, the father of the son, etc., they are permitted to eat on Thursday after the bris. And they do not need to fast the next day. As this is discussed in Simin Tavkov Nun Tes Sif Tes regarding Tisha B'Av. Look at Prima Godim who writes, someone who's lenient to go like the Ramah and not fast on Thursday would not lose out. That's what the Yabitz writes in his Mor Uksiya and the Shvus Yaakov. His schemo, they agree to that which the Shulchan Aruch says, aka the Ramah, that they would not need to fast on Thursday. It's a pretty applicable halacha for anyone who's making a bris on Tainus Ester.
So they wouldn't need to fast and they wouldn't need to make it up.
Yeah. They say over here, the Taz, Eliyah Rabbah, they say this is like Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur. Oh, here it is. That if a bris fell out, you would do the Sud that night. You would do that all night, like I said. However, the Bali bris themselves, aka the Avia Ben V'imo, the father and mother of the son, the Moel, the Sandik, they're allowed to eat on Thursday, even according to the Taz Eliyah Rabbah, and they would not need to make it up. Big leniency for them. So they would not lead to. Look at the Pri Megadim, who says that someone who's lenient to go like the Ramah, who says that everyone could eat on Thursday would not lose out. Regarding that, the Magen Avram writes that it's obvious in a place it's permissible to eat the meal. It's not a fast at all, and it's permissible afterwards to eat and drink even in your house.
Whoa.
You could eat the whole day, but notice in your house, aka in private. However, before the bris, you're not allowed to eat, even in your house privately. The Mor Uksiya and Shvus Yaakov agreed to the Shulchan Aruch, and the reason of the Shulchan Aruch, the Mor Uksiya explains, is since this fast is not a complete halacha, so to say, rather it's a custom, and furthermore, it's earlier, aka Thursday, because Purim's falling out on Sunday, so therefore coupling all of that together, when there's also a bris that falls out, aka a third factor, and the time is during the day, then therefore it can get pushed off. Tremendous lumdus with three different ideas colliding together. Beautiful sif over here. So Mirza Hashem, next session on Monday we will complete this hymn.
Yeah. We didn't speak about Tu B'Shvat, but that's
Tu B'Shvat has nothing to do with Purim. That's absolutely correct.
All right.
Maybe we'll talk about Tu B'Shvat a little. When's Tu B'Shvat?
Sunday night, right? Oh well.
Sunday night?
I think it's Sunday night, right? Isn't it?
All right, no.
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe. Wait, yeah, maybe.
No.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
in
Some
Borough
book.
Park. There's enough Rebbes that involved with